Hello and welcome to making a beaded bracelet with safety pins, nuts, and beads. And this is the project that we'll be making today, is this beautiful bracelet. Our supply list for today is not very long. You'll need 1 tablespoon of assorted beads, 6 millimeters or larger, 40 1-inch safety pins, 80 6 32nd nuts, which can be purchased at any home improvement store. You'll need 2 12-inch pieces of elastic cord, 1.5 millimeters, and that's very important so you have the strength to support your bracelet, and just a little dab of craft glue. Now the 40 safety pins will fit a wrist approximately 7 inches in circumference. The 12-inch pieces of elastic are more than enough to allow you to knot your project when you're completed, and to also place a knot in the beginning so they don't fall off the other end. So we'll just cut our piece of elastic and we will demonstrate. The beads come in little plastic packages. Now these are a terror if you're going to do this with your children because they will go everywhere and travel a long distance when you spill them. So I place my beads into clear containers so I can see what I have, with a lid that screws on securely when they're not in use. To do the project, I put the beads into a small dish, and you can do this project with your children. Just have to be careful with the safety pins, but I'll show you a safe way to do this. And I've got I've got much more than a tablespoon of beads, but that allows me to pick what I want. You can do the beads randomly, which makes a beautiful necklace. I'm sorry, bracelet. Or you can pick your colors if you want to be a little bit more specific and only use one of the major colors we have here. To do this with your children, if they hold the larger part of the pin, they can just dip into the cup and pick up beads of any color. That way they don't have to touch anything or run the risk of being poked by the end of the safety pin. And you just fill your beads. If adults are doing this, you can pick them up and put them on onto the pin until you have approximately 40 completed. At that point, once your pin is full, just close it. And I do all my pins, and I just do them in random colors. Then you want to place a knot in the end of your cord, put one of the nuts on, and then a bracelet. And you want to alternate your pins, and I call it heads and tails, and between each one you'll put a nut. So I lay mine out just because I have a tendency to be talking when I'm doing this, and I don't want to put them the wrong way. So I put a nut, a head, a nut, a tail, and alternate down. You then pick up your cord. You can just slip it through the end of the circle of the nut, through the end of the pin, another nut. The head of the pin, it's almost easier. You can't really thread through the end of that, so get your safety pin down next to your nut, and then you really just pull it through like a piece of dental floss into the head of that pin, and it'll stay right there. Then do another nut and the tail of the pin, and you see how simple that is. Now the beads are all varied colors, and like I said, if you want to make a specific pin color, you can do that, but you really the randomness of colors gives you the options of wearing your bracelet with any outfit. So you do that until you have your entire 12 inches completed. Once that is done, and I'll just set this to the side. Once that is done, you'll have a completed bracelet that looks like this. Now I do need to finish, we've done the one side, I'm coming back finishing this other side. And what you have to do is check where you're at. So I need a nut, loop that through. And then I loop it through the head of the pin, another nut. And if your end of your cord gets a little frayed, this is an elastic cord covered with silver, you can just cut that little end part off give yourself a little point and it threads very easily through the nut, through the hole of the pin and nut, and alternate that until it's totally completed. Alright, once you have that done, it's very important that you have somebody fit your bracelet. You can do this by yourself if you have a willing partner who's making the bracelet with you. You can talk your husband into it or your kids. It's a little bit easier to do it with too, but it's not totally necessary. Let me just finish this off so I can show you. Okay, we're totally done. I always put a loose knot in the end of the thing just so they don't go flying. Alright, so my bracelet's completed. I put it on my wrist and I check for size. And what I want is, this is actually fairly big for me, is I could take some of these off then make it a tad smaller. You want to make sure once you have your bracelet on, and just kind of hold it together, make sure you can slip it on and off of your wrist comfortably. Once you've fitted to the size bracelet you want, and it's not hard to take these off if you want, just loosen your knots and do that. You need to tie your bracelet, so flip it over so the beads are down on the table. Bring your two ends together and tie your bracelet. And I would use at least a double, if not a triple knot there. Tie that. Alright, securely, tie both sides. And then I would put a little drop of glue onto the bracelet right where my knot's at and allow that to dry. For the sake of time, I'm not going to demonstrate that part, but you would see, just put a little dot of glue right there on both sides, allow that to dry for a couple of minutes, trim off the ends of your cord, and trim them close, but you don't want to trim too close to your knot. And you can trim that prior to putting your glue on. So once you have your glue dried, you can take these knots and you can pop them right in through one of the nuts and they will disappear. Flip your bracelet over, put your bracelet on, and you have a completed bracelet. Thank you for coming today.